Good evening, everyone. This is Random Encounter.
This is Alvina.
And Selbek.
It is Selbek, but for some reason your name is still being cut off on the damn overlay again, so you're just...
Remember, I'm a slithery little sneaky snake.
I'd like to buy a vowel. Well, anyway, if you're going to be a snake, you picked a good series to do it. And welcome to our July 2024 Valiant Gamers of the Month game. Valiant Gamers of the Month. It is the best Valiant Gamers of the Month, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay, I'm tasting a little toast. Just give me a second. We're going to bring it all together. But yeah, it is the July 2024 Game of the Month for ValiantGamers.com. There we go. I did the thing. Woo! We had a great time having Selbek bring to us all of the Star Fox games in the series, and I hope you guys had a great time watching them with us. Thank you, Grimace. I appreciate it. Chat's here for me, and all of us, and we couldn't do this without you. But yeah, if you've never heard of what we do, go to ValiantGamers.com. We're a nice little community. We don't bite hard. Unless you're into that.
Unless you're into that, I was going to say.
Well, I don't kink shame.
So, Selbek, this is the second series that you've brought to us, too. You've brought us a lot of games. How does that make you feel?
Exhausted.
I bet.
You've put in a ton of work.
It's been fun. It's been fun. I mean, they are shorter games, so you guys have been amazing on the RPG front. But for shorter games, you know, you gotta fill in that month if we're gonna have a game of the month with something. So I've felt pretty blessed being able to bring multiple titles of a series to everybody here during the month.
Yeah, I have to say, watching you play like multiple games, not only, a month, but a night. Like there's, some nights where you beat like 2 games in one stream, and some of them were upside down too. So it's, I'm impressed.
That dude really just did go and just beat an entire level upside down.
The final boss.
He just raw dogged some poorly emulated Star Fox. I respect that. That's commitment. But I think
gotta stop being grass, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely a place in our games of the month for shorter games, because not everything can be a long-ass RPG as much as we love them around here, and we might want it to be. It's nice to have a little bit of variety, and you have some of that coming up next month, but we will talk about that later, because that's next month's problem. Today is Star Fox. So my first exposure was with the original Star Fox. Got a copy of this game when I was a kid, popped it in, and it blew my mind a little bit. 3D graphics were very much a new and novel thing that you were not seeing a whole lot of. I mean, I didn't even have a computer that could play Doom. My first experience with Doom was on the Super Nintendo. So to me, to see that caliber of gameplay on the Super Nintendo was very nice. It was very novel, and the PlayStation wasn't even a blip on my radar just yet. I was reading about that in magazines, but here it was. 3D was here, and now. What about you guys? What was your first exposure to Star Fox?
Well, I'll go first because it won't be very long, and then Selbek can follow up. My first exposure was I just saw an ad for it in probably Nintendo Power or some magazine of the like, or I might have caught a commercial for it, and thought, ooh, that's cool. But I didn't have a Super Nintendo. I didn't have a Nintendo 64. I didn't really have anything I could play it on, and so it wasn't even really on my radar to pay attention to, and watching it has been kind of a little bit of a eye-opener this month, because I would have really loved it. I know I would have. This is the kind of game I think I would have played with my dad and really enjoyed, because he loves he loves flying games, and I think he really would have enjoyed it. But
I bet he
missed opportunity. But
yeah, I bet he would have absolutely smoked every single one of us at Star Fox 64.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. he would have. But yeah, that's my experience with it.
That's wholesome. I like that. I was exposed to the Super Nintendo game from a neighbor at an apartment complex I lived in. He didn't have the game quite yet, but he did have the poster from Nintendo Power, and I was very drawn to the almost Y-shaped spaceships and how cool the characters looked and all that stuff. I mean, we see the background on the stream right now is of the Super Nintendo version of Star Fox. Mm-hmm. And those were the characters that were on the poster. It's almost like they created as lifelike models as they could for the advertising, and I was always drawn to it, but I never really got to play it until later in life. Just before, well, a couple years before the Nintendo 64 came out. When my mom had moved us to another neighborhood, and a friend I made there did have it for the Super Nintendo. Mm-hmm. And I liked it, but I didn't love it. It wasn't until Star Fox 64 that I really fell in love with the series.
That's definitely fair. I can see that, because I loved it, but then again, I guess I'm easily impressed. I don't know. I was a little bit of a technology optimist in a way that I'm definitely not anymore, because we've seen some of the downsides of unfettered technological advancements these days. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're young and you don't know better, and the future looks great. You know,
well, we're getting flying cars in a couple of years, so I mean,
that sounds.
I already got my hoverboard.
That sounds terrifying. And the more that I think about it, as much as I would love a flying car,
I kickstarted a hoverboard, so I'm expecting that any day now.
Sweet.
Oh, that's right. It is. Isn't 2024 the movie in Back to the Future 2? Or the first one was at 2019?
I think it was like 2012 or something depressing like that.
Oh God, fuck me! and the unstoppable advance of time. I need to get like an echo mixer for the soundboard or something.
Oh, we have an answer. Thank you, Zach.
2015. Thank you, Zach. And chat, we would love to hear your first experiences with the Star Fox series. I don't imagine too many of you, this is your first foray into the Star Fox series, but if it is, please correct the record. These games have an interesting background to them. They were developed as a partnership between Nintendo and Argonaut Software. Argonaut was a European outfit headed by Dylan Cuthbert, among others. The European game development and programming scene really was kind of a beast in and all of its own. Computers had a lot more market share in the European market than they did here in comparison to consoles, which had a much smaller footprint over there. And I know Argonaut was among these European development houses doing some really cool things on the computer scene, and they got noticed by Nintendo. And just, long story short, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking as an authoritative figure on it, because I'm not, but they started with the development of a Game Boy game that didn't get released outside of Japan called X, which we are going to show off here for a few minutes at the very least. That had had straight up wireframe graphics on the Game Boy on a Z80 processor in real time. I'm not going to promise you that it's fun. I tried briefly playing around with it a little bit earlier. It is a little clunky, but it is a vision of the future. And Star Fox, at least for the Super Nintendo, definitely is just cranked up to 11. I'll be honest, I'm very fond of the original Star Fox. It is probably my favorite in the series, but I'll be the first to tell you that other games of the series have far and beyond exceeded the original. It's not even close. I mean, really, it is a glorified tech demo on the Super Nintendo of just what the Super Nintendo could do with these enhancement chips. So it just has a great degree of that Nintendo polish that you see.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so Slippy's got some real jowls. Absolutely. So one of the, I think one of the influences behind Star Fox is that Miyamoto's not the kind of guy that wants to put out your milquetoast kind of space opera starfighter shooter sort of game. He's going to do something a little bit different. That's just Miyamoto's way. And one of his influences behind Star Fox were puppets. There was a British puppet show of some kind, and the name escapes me, but that was something that was on the forefront of his mind when he's designing the characters for Star Fox. Is he wants them to be animals because, again, it's different than your usual sci-fi shoot 'em up, but he had the specific point of view that he wanted them to look very puppet-like, which is why they look the way that they do. And I kind of like it. It looks nice. Like, I think puppets are like that kind of practical technology that almost, it looks tangible. You can actually reach out and run your fingers through Fox's soft hair if you're into that sort of thing. But yeah, Slippy looks kind of horrifying, actually, now that I sit here and dwell on it.
He looks slippery.
He does. But see, he looks like he sounds in the Super Nintendo version. You know, he's like, what. I mean, that tracks. I can't imagine like this creature like walking up to me and opening his frog-like lips and going, "Hey, buddy, how's it going? Oh boy, we're gonna get in the R-Wing, go fight Andros."
A great impression.
Thank you.
That's pretty good. So now that you mention it, about the kind of milquetoast space opera, blah blah blah, like obviously there is a lot of I don't remember which one in particular, but a lot of soundtrack was inspired by like John Williams. There are a lot of reference to like the Star Wars universe, like the whole award ceremony. It's just very reminiscent of all of that. Do you know how much did they hang a lantern on that overall? Was it something that was really brought to like? Was it common like, oh, it's just Star Wars with furries? I'm asking as someone who doesn't really know.
I don't really have an answer. Maybe Scott does, but obviously, if there were no Star Wars, there probably wouldn't be a Star Fox, or it would look very different. Star Wars is just that influential. You can't escape it. So, I mean, even Miyamoto has said that the R-Wing design is based on the X-Wing. Makes sense, right? So, I don't know. It's got Star Wars elements, but I'm definitely not denying that. I'm just saying that it wouldn't just be Nintendo to just release a Star Wars ripoff. They've got to give it something that's kind of a polish of their own. And in this case, the cute little animals was kind of the turn on its head that their sort of thing. So we were supposed to get a stop motion Netflix series for. Oh my god! Oh, I
forgot about that. I forgot about that. It got leaked, and Nintendo came out and basically confirmed that it was something that was to happen, but will no longer.
That's really unfortunate. I think that would have been really good.
Well, it may have been really good. Or it had the potential to be really good, but it also had the potential to be horrible.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, Netflix doesn't have as much of a sterling reputation these days. Not every Netflix adaptation is good, but I think it would have looked really interesting, even if it wasn't good.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a movie out of it with their new movie endeavor they've been doing.
Who knows? I mean, if they can cast Chris Pratt as Mario, then really anything's possible, right?
Chris Pratt as Star Fox.
And Peppy. And Slippy. And Falco.
But especially...
And Andros.
But especially Slippy.
And General Pepper.
But he has to talk in just his Chris Pratt voice for all of them. It's gonna get really confusing very fast.
That's what he does anyway, so it's fine.
Dude, fucking Base Grimace coming in here with the facts. People from College Humor were working on it. I think that even if it wasn't the greatest, it may have brought some life to the franchise again, and that's his biggest shame. I agree. I've got some thoughts on that you guys will definitely be hearing later.
I swear, we need to get Grimace on one of these at some point.
We do. Grimace, you know how to reach us. If you're not feeling shy and you want to tell us your thoughts, we would love to hear them.
Yeah, come on, man.
But, yeah. What's your opinion, Scott? Do you think that without Star Wars there could be a Star Fox?
The way we have it now? That is really hard to say. I would say no. Just thinking about it, like so much of the space stuff has been inspired by Star Wars. So much that I want to say the popularity of Star Wars is what got Hollywood to spend money to work with NASA to make sure their space movies in general had authenticity and actual, like, factual things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go out there and give a little bit of that credit to the original space opera Star Trek, but I will not deny for even a moment the influence of Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm not saying Star Wars is the only one. Star Trek is huge as well, and also has that influence, but neither one of them get things factually accurate, and so we have different franchises and different movies. Like, oh Lord, the name's escaping me for some reason, but it's a more recent one, and it's really good. Why can't I think of the name? Or the actors in it. The one, oh my God, I can't talk about it without spoiling. Anyway, that one.
Okay.
Wow, it's so unspoiled. I may not be able to see it because nobody can tell me what it's called.
It had to do with black holes.
Go on.
Why can't I think of it? Oh my God.
Did it have to do with?
I love it so much. Let me tell you all about this thing I can't talk about.
Did it have to do with big vessels entering black holes?
Sure. It had to do with books falling on the ground. I mean,
the Orville, Battlestar Galactica,
no,
any of those ring bells? Okay.
It was a mission, like the Earth had been like mostly devastated, and the population was living on like a diet of popcorn because corn's the only thing that could grow. And
what the fuck is
there's
this movie?
There's this space. Oh my God, it's so good, and everybody loves it.
I think this is a hallucinogenic fever dream.
This is we're going into Bernstein Bears territory. Scott, if you're trying to gaslight us, I'm going to be so mad here.
No.
This is definitely the
God.
Mandela
Okay.
effect.
No.
But if you think of it, you are obligated to tell us before we get off the stream tonight, okay?
I'm
Yes.
trying to find it.
Okay.
Oh, fucking Jesus Christ. Interstellar. Thank you. Jesus Christ.
Oh, Interstellar. That was a great movie.
I told you.
I don't remember. Wait, Interstellar. Hold on. Am I thinking of a different movie? That's the one with Matthew McConaughey, right?
Yep.
Okay. I don't remember the whole plot tangent about the only thing there is to eat is popcorn because everything else sucks.
Well, corn in general, but yeah, they eat a lot of popcorn and stuff.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much true nowadays. We eat a whole lot of corn. The corn
Having a corntastic day.
The corn servant dwells in us all, giving us diabetes and cancer. But he's so cute, though.
He's so cute.
You know, I am an idiot for forgetting the name of one of my favorite movies in the spotlight right there. But I'm going to give myself credit for trying to describe it without spoiling the movie.
He did. Look, I mean, it gave us a whole ass conversation unto itself. I'm here for it.
You extended this post-mortem by at least 5 minutes.
I did. But I'm going to go and extend it for another 5 minutes more because we can look like we're here to look at maybe what Star Fox could have been. It's very humble roots, a little Game Boy game. So give me 1 second. I'm going to get fired up here. And also for my viewer, my audience here in Twitch chat. And also you here in voice chat, I want to make sure you guys can see it lag free. So give me 1 moment.
Lag free.
That's not how you do it.
While this is getting set up, I do want to say how heavily influenced I was to play Star Fox 64 based on a VHS tape of marketing that they made. It was just like a 5 to 10 minute skit of some dudes pretending to be Sony and Sega sneaking into Nintendo headquarters to get the latest scoop of games that were coming out. And they accidentally find out about the Rumble Pack.
Oh, it's a classic.
Yeah, this thing sold me so hard. I mean, not only was the acting so super cheesy, and I was into that because I was making stupid videos with my friends at the time, but the fact that this thing had force feedback, it was the first of its kind, and just they freaking hook, line, and sinkered me into that for sure. And it was worth every stinking penny I threw at it, every stinking beg and plead I had to get it for me for Christmas. I mean, it was amazing. It was such an amazing time.
It worked out. That was the release of Star Fox, but also that period that follows it too. I think it marks the shift in Nintendo's advertising, where you start to see them getting fed up with this whole Genesis does what Nintendo don't bullshit, and they're like, all right, look here, motherfuckers, we'll show you what's going on over here at Nintendo. Fuck your blast processing, we've got 3D. But it's like, and you think about it too, and the Super Nintendo so greatly utilized these auxiliary chips that went in. Like, there was the Super FX chip, and then the Super FX chip 2, there was the CX4 chip, there was the DSP-1. I mean, the only game that I know of for the Genesis that made use of an extra chip was the VDP chip that went in Virtua Racing, and I think that was it. I think that was basically similar to the hardware that just became the 32X. They figured, we won't just give you a chip, we'll give you a whole brand new little thing you plug in here too. But I think that's one of the things that set the Super Nintendo apart as a system, was just how extensible it was, and it really gave it some life there towards the end. Yeah,
for sure.
Play it loud, absolutely. Yeah, the whole Play It Loud campaign, get in or get out. Yeah, this was definitely a turn in Nintendo's fortunes for the 16-bit era, for sure. Mid-90s were a very intense time for game development, with all of the companies doing everything they could to see what sticks. We've talked about that in the past. It was really exciting just to see these huge strides in technological development, but also game companies were willing to be brave and see what works.
And they're so much more aggressive than they are now. And I kind of miss that a little bit.
Yeah, everyone, well, at least the big publishers, they tend to keep it safe and just follow what has worked for them for the most part. And
yeah,
we're seeing some good experimentation from the indie scene, but for the most part, the good experimentation we're seeing is not anything too new. It's heavily influenced by what's already existed, by things that are inspiring from the 90s.
Agreed. So while we're talking about the 90s here, let's see a little relic from the 90s, a little game called X.
Let's see it.
Get this bad boy started.
Run!
So, fun fact, I was discussing this with Voice Crowd here earlier, just how like, X in Japanese is X, and it's so long to spell compared to just one little letter. Usually it's the other way around. Everything in English is much longer to write out than it is in Japanese, but we got them on this one letter right here.
Well, it's good to know they intended for this to be X and not cross.
Whoa! Oh my god, there's graphics!
You
cutting out a lot
completely.
Yeah. Sorry to cut out. I was so astounded by the graphics that we're seeing.
Whoa, yeah, this looks like, this reminds me of Phantasy Star Dungeon Crawling, like the original on Master System.
And it's like, it's going so slow you can practically see the blitter drawing the lines across the screen, but it's still just so novel too that like they can make a Game Boy do this.
Yeah.
As Nicole puts it, wow.
Wow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, I don't speak Japanese.
Oh, that soundtrack.
But if somebody does out there, help a brother out here, because I don't know what's going on.
Hang on. Hang on, wait. I can translate it on the fly here. Boop, 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 boop.
Oh, I see. Technology.
Universal Century XXXX. Due to the population, Chikyu had no place to live. People searched the universe for the presence of humans who had grown too large and finally discovered the future's energy source, Wakusei Tetumus 2, which is said to be a sleeping power crystal.
Or the mother lode.
Okay.
The mother lode.
I'm just going to assume that he's not lying to me and that he's just doing some machine translation. This is fine. I can read. Let's see. Something energy, and that's it. I'm totally lost.
Energy development. The nuclear silo was destroyed. At that time, a message was sent to Chikyu from the base of Tetems 2 about the outbreak of a flu. What happened to Tetems 2? The space tank Vixiv carrying you is now here.
Nice.
COVID.
Welcome to the Training Academy. I'm your coach. In preparation for this, we have installed a simulator that accurately reproduces Tetems 2.
Wow.
First of all, we will do a free run while checking the basics of the space tank Vixiv. Vixiv uses a gear broom in its driving system. A gear broom?
Something I think was lost in translation.
Each time you press the plus button upwards, the D-pad I guess, the gear changes to low, medium, or high. Also, if you keep pushing up, you can get turbo speed, and if you keep pushing down, you can back up.
Uh-huh.
I have to turn my phone to the side away from the screen and bring it back in order for it to translate on the fly faster.
Gotcha.
When you enter the field, first press the D-pad button up once or twice and advance at a low or medium speed. Once you get used to it, try high and back. Senkai is performed on the left and right sides of the Nabotan.
Okay.
Whatever that means.
All right, and here we go. We're in tank view. Medium, high. Stop. Can we go in reverse? Okay, we can't go in reverse. Cool. Pew, pew, pew.
I didn't get to see what that said. This is a compass that indicates which direction Vixiv is facing.
Okay.
Okay.
This is actually really handy. I might have to tell your wife, look, I will pay you for his services, but I need this man for only in Japan. I can't read any of this moon language. What did I do?
The radar screen in the center of the cockpit shows the Vixiv in the middle and the dish towel field seen from above. Dish towel field? You want to try that again?
It said it, and it meant it.
Dish towel field, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. The black area on the radar screen is your point. In other words, you can only select the dots inside the black area. Look through the windshield.
Okay.
Now, while looking at the radar, I had another free run with the intention of trying to get out of position.
What?
Alright, I'm just going turbo, full steam ahead. Let's go.
This is radar.
Wow. Identifying wood. Yep, it's wood. Server.
You can tell it's Aspen because of the way it is. Oh, it didn't translate that one.
Alright, I see shooting the mountain does not do anything. Alright, I'm going turbo. No brakes on this train. Eriyaga. Dotto. Dottoga.
The striking dot is something.
Okay, this is great. This is great, trainer. Give me something to shoot. Okay.
Dots on the radar are the enemy.
Okay, wait, maybe.
Oh, so you do shoot the mountain.
Wait, I do?
Yeah, see the dots on your radar? Yeah, it needs to be in the black space for it to be in your field of view.
Okay. I'm shooting. Oh, Lord, I'm shooting. As much as I can. Ooh!
You did it!
I did
The
the
dots on the
thing!
radar are the enemy. And the crosshair is where you're shooting, I guess.
Alright, stop.
I would assume it didn't translate.
Yeah, fuck this tree. I'm gonna fuck it up. Don't tell me what to do, Bob Ross. I'm here to destroy nature.
It's the human condition.
I'm shooting.
Take care and aim at the enemy. Wow, it just takes a lot of bullets to destroy a tree.
Is my fuel?
Oh my god, it's a boat! It's a land speeder.
Yosh! Means good. I'm doing something right. Right? Game?
Good. Approach the enemy slowly. Oh, it cock blocked you.
I can't believe this was on Game Boy. Holy
Vixen
cow, this was ambitious. Yeah.
Vixen is calling for a laser beam. Aim at the enemy and press the A button to fire. The enemy's attack will be hit by a series of attacks.
Okay. I'm shooting.
Boom. Well done. Create a bonus character. In this tank's case, it's mushrooms. This mushroom allows Vixiv to increase its shield. If you aim at a mushroom and get close to it, it will instantly spread with a tractor beam. Okay, so you kill things to get items, and you go towards the item, and it'll come to your ship.
Okay.
There it is.
I ran over the mushroom. Okay. Mushroom.
Have you grown your mushrooms? Now let's move on to training. This tank is moving. Get excited and get excited.
Have you tried getting excited yet?
I think you're supposed to get excited.
Chat, I need everybody here to get excited. I need all of the glory, the peanut butter glory time, anything you got.
When you need to attack an enemy, it's important to use a good back gear. It's important to back up.
Grimace, I see your doubt mixed in there, sir. You're not fooling me.
Are you tired of looking at it? I'm still an amateur. When attacking an enemy, always say, keep it in your own zone. Too fast speed is a pain. One more time.
This dialogue is miles better than anything. And
First aim at the enemy. Yeah, keep it in your own zone.
Yosh! Good.
Come on. Do the thing. That's pretty easy to do. As expected, I was selected. Let's move on to the next step. In reality, in order to use powerful weapons, there's a requirement to enter a building called a radar base. It's one of the facilities in each area of Tetums 2. There are 2 gates near the entrance that will guide you when entering. When entering the base, first enter the area between the 2 gates, then keep moving until your aim is at the entrance of the base. Just keep moving forward and you'll be able to enter the base.
So this is reminding me that there is a built-in machine translation function in RetroArch that I need to get set up in time for Thursday. And I don't have any experience with it, but it should be doing like what you're trying to do, but in real time. So I'm going to play around with that. A lot of the games that I have in mind for next month are games that should have enough English to get us through, but we might try to get brave and play some stuff that we have no clue what's going on. So
I never have any clue as to what's going on, even if it's in English.
Inside, a number of inquiries regarding the base are held. Make sure that there is no damage to the center board.
Are you making sure to get excited? All right, I'm going. Oh, nope, I gotta slow it down. It told me to slow down.
Proceed at low speed.
2 gates.
Go to the other side of the 2 gates.
Okay, I did. I think. Turning around. Okay. Oh, it's low.
Proceed at low speed.
I was. Game, please.
Take your time and aim at the center of the base.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, go there.
I'm going. I'm aiming. I'm charging and shooting my laser. Okay,
Ding, 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 ding.
I'm going. Oh!
It's taking too much time. We're running out of time. Let's start over from the original position. Be sure and press low and advance to the middle of the edge.
Okay, alright, so I'm going. I'm on low.
Get out of the 2 gates. Okay, maybe just keep going?
Okay, I'm going. Oh, there is a timer up there. Alright, so...
No, yeah, I have no idea.
This might be the end of our foray into the world of Ixu.
Hmm.
Okay. Alright. Come on, I gotta go fast, game! I'm going in. I'm going in. Ah.
The timer went up.
Alright.
Try going through that
Okay.
and then turning around and going to that little almost looks like a placard on that side of the satellite, but maybe it's an entrance.
Yeah, it's like... Does it mean go through the 2 gates or go through the gate twice?
It says go to the other side of the 2 gates.
Okay. Running around.
This actually reminds me of an old like Commodore 64 game. I think it was called Tanks. I could be wrong.
Alright. Going in. Going in dry. Hey!
Nice.
Well, look at that.
Let's see. Missiles. Shield. And I don't know what that means. Nin?
I think because the color's blinking there, my phone here is having a hard time translating on the fly because it thinks it's changing.
Oh, I'm sorry. What about now?
It had the top as missile.
Mm-hmm. I think the third one is shield. And I think the middle says Ninjo, but I don't know what that means, and I don't even know if that's right.
The radio link says use the D-pad button to select items and the A button to confirm, but I can't get it to translate the menu items.
So I press the middle one. What's it say up top?
The menu on the right is weapons to serve, and the one on the left is supply items. The menu is confusing. That's what it says.
Yeah, I'll say. Okay, well, I selected them all.
You can only serve one military mission at a time. Go to guilds from the menu on the right.
Okay.
The square at the bottom of the center of the game is called the grid screen. Select exit. Oh, okay, well. You sure did.
Good!
Okay, now let's do the lock-ons lesson. It's a full-on trading session to defeat enemies that can only be evaded with missiles.
Okay.
If you haven't activated the lock-on yet, go back to the radar base, activate the lock-on at the top of the menu on the right, and return to the field.
Okay. Alright, we're going in. Just crash right in there. Alright, so it's active.
And the top one is missiles on the left there, we know that.
Okay.
That's right, the weapon will be dropped here.
Okay. You know, we talk about how games these days have lengthy tutorials that go a little over long. They learned it from X, Dad. They learned it from X.
X.
Very, very ambitious.
First, go find the enemy.
Whoa!
Oh, you found it.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, hello. Okay.
Stay still and aim at the enemy.
Missile something.
To launch a missile, first lock onto the enemy. Keep your sights on the enemy and use low or medium gear to get close to them. When a cursor appears in the corner of the windshield with a beeping sound, it will greet you and press the B button.
Okay, I'm gonna have to turn up my sound a little bit.
Once you successfully lock onto the enemy, get behind the enemy and attack. And please follow my instructions. Once you're in the right position, I'll give you a kiss. Then press the B button. A missile will be launched.
Problematic. All right, let's.
Once you're in the right position, I'll give you a kiss.
All right, let's turn around.
I think that's the noise. You're getting, yeah, there you go.
Oh wait.
Now you gotta get behind it. I think yeah, there it goes.
Get wrecked.
Can you missile it now?
Oh, get wrecked.
Oh, you got it.
Let's go.
Oh boy.
All right.
Good, well done.
Taste that sweet mushroom.
Get your shroom. Come on. Now for the next lesson. Vixiv has an auto finder system. This is a one-story plant that can handle all kinds of situations. This system is for you.
This game was designed by an Asian father, I can tell already.
Come on. At the office, what you should look for in each mission. He will guide you to a certain position. However, be careful. There is a problem even if you can do it easily.
Okay, guys, I'm just warning you now. We are at almost 50 minutes of broadcast time. I'm giving this a couple more. If I see Headman hop up again to give me more lessons, we're out. I'm done.
Oh, I think you're going to see him quite a few more times because you haven't even gotten into into how to handle getting shot at.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm fine with moving on.
Yeah. I mean, this has been fun, but we could probably
because
continue this.
I have more.
Next month.
There's something that's very near and dear to me that I need to share with you guys here. All right,
I've been waiting for this forever, so let's get to that.
I know I've teased. Okay.
It is a pickup.
All right, I picked up something. Nice.
I didn't get to see what that said.
Shut up. Good.
There he is again.
Bro, we got things we
Leading
got to
to
do
a central
tonight.
facility called something Junction. The Vixiv.
Éxito. I know what that is.
Oh, there it was.
All right.
I'm going. No, it's spinning.
I'm going. Bonk.
Boom.
Bonk.
Boom.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Going. All right. I'm going. Nice.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay, this song.
The speed control is now cannot. Control the height by pressing the D-pad button up and down.
So welcome to the X post-mortem.
Welcome to the tunnel. We've got fun and games. This shit's in Japanese. Gonna need to translate the game.
Oh yeah, here's the this is the Venom segment.
I need a good luck, guys.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Bonk.
You got it.
You did it. It says tunnel select, and your cursor's on supply facility.
All right, I'm gonna exit the.
Oh, the top option is tunnel select.
Okay,
then
we're done. I'm done seeing this asshole.
Hey,
Thank you.
The tutorial. We might have a banging soundtrack.
Oh my god.
The music. I could hear, the music sounded really good.
Do yourself a favor and save state or something, so you don't have to do all that again.
Well, I'll check that out sometime. Maybe there's a English patch to it out there somewhere. Maybe it'll come as maybe a little bit of a bonus game sometime next month. But again, that's for later. We'll talk more about that. That's a then problem. Let's focus on the now, because chat and my fellow Valiant gamers here in the voice channel. Something's been weighing on my heart ever since 1993. And I know I've gone on record to bitch about this loudly during the course of playing Star Fox, but also just individually to you guys. There was a national Star Fox competition back in the day. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
wanted so badly to be a part of it. I wanted to win the prizes. I wanted to get the little lapel pin, the Star Fox bomber jacket. I mean, to win the grand prize of 15,000 would have been amazing, right? But I just wanted to say that I did it, that I at least tried. Unfortunately, not everybody had a chance to play the freaking game because my local Walmart ran out of prizes and canceled the competition, and I've been so super fucking salty bitter about it ever since. And
Damn.
and I'm sorry to co-opt our post-mortem because you guys have opinions about the games. I have opinions about the games too. But chat, my fellow Valiant gamers, I implore you, I'm not just here seeking retribution, seeking redemption. I'm here to seek glory for myself and my house. And tonight, I want to win the National Star Fox tournament because I have the ROM from the tournament. I need this. Chat, can you give this to me? Nicole, Scott, can I have this, please? Just 5 minutes of your time.
Let's fucking go. Let's go.
Let's good luck.
Go. Go.
All right, we're going.
Good luck.
Good song.
Oh, this is official. You can tell because it has official in the title. All right, here we go. Nervous.
I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Look at
Nervous.
this, man.
Blah 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 blah. Give me.
No matter what happens, you still win the respect of all of us in chat.
Aw, thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
You actually already had it.
Aw, shucks.
You win the ability to keep it. Oh, you fucked up. Oh, you piece of shit. Wing blasters. Gotta have the twin blasters, man.
Hey, hey.
Hit him. Don't miss him.
Stay on target.
Look at all the extra enemies, too.
I know. Okay. I didn't get the. I know there was an extra bomb off to the side if it's just like the original Corneria level, but that's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay.
I don't think it's worth going for the bomb because you miss so many enemies. Thus lowering your score. You only got 3 minutes.
Okay. All right.
Get him, get him, get him, get him, get him.
I can feel 10-year-old me inside of me cheering me on. Not telling 10-year-old me,
Perfect for you.
hey, get out of me.
That's,
That's inappropriate.
I was gonna say that seems almost problematic.
Just noting how has the dots on the ground to imply depth. Absolutely. It's the little tricks that make you feel immersed.
Yeah, that was I think that was a much better take on faux 3D depth. Well, I guess it's not faux 3D really, but
Oh shit.
compared to
let's go.
games like Outrun or Space Harrier or all that stuff that had that faux 3D effect in those 2D games.
Perfect bonus. Chef's
Mhm.
kiss.
Nice.
Goddamn professional.
I'm here to win. I'm here to be a wiener.
Here to get your elephant.
Yeah. Oh, Slippy. Now's not the time.
You just hit Slippy.
I did. I'm here to kill them all.
Dum, dum.
Bonk.
Da-da-da-da-dum. Da-da-da-da.
Nice. Thank you. Bonk.
You didn't get a single one.
Look, I have the whole health bar. I'm going to use the whole health bar.
Bum, 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 bum.
Ow!
Oh yeah, you can't do that to those. The ball shot, you can't deflect. Not that I
Anybody see
remember
how
anyway.
much time I have left?
You had like 40 something seconds.
Okay. They really didn't give you a lot of time. They're like, "Come on, man, we've got 5,000 kids waiting out there, and only two
Right.
and only 2 jackets for the lot of them." Oh! Perfection. Mwah.
I don't expect anything less.
All right.
37 seconds. I was incorrect. My apologies.
Ah!
Careful, careful.
Oh no!
No, you got it.
I'm never gonna get the $15,000 now.
Oh boy.
Oh, you did miss that one though.
Bonk.
One. Boom.
Ah! Out of time.
Oh, yeah. Dang.
Woo! What do you think, guys? How did I do?
Better than me.
That was impressive.
Ah. That feels
Oh,
so
yes.
good.
Oh, yeah.
The journey is not about the destination. It's about the slippies that you meet along the way in disgustingly high detail. Okay, so
Somebody took time to create that Slippy.
they did, and I want to make sure that at least one person out there saw it. Oh, that feels good, guys. Thank you so much. That's a nearly 30-year-old beast I've been ready to put to bed all this time, and now I can move on with my life.
Good night, sweet prince.
Hey, congratulations, you won.
Congratulations on a job well done. So, yeah, we've touched a little bit on how we got introduced to Star Fox and what Star Fox means to us, which, according to me, apparently is a lot more than I first expected. So, but as you know, here at Valiant Gamers, we don't just like talking about the games, but we also like the music. And
Oh, yeah.
Star Fox really delivers in that regard. There's no end of like good games out there, but Nintendo really just was, they've always been on top of their music game, but consistently the Super Nintendo was just a winner of good game music, and Star Fox is no exception.
Mhm.
I agree. I completely agree.
And
It is unfortunate that those that have only seen a playthrough one time through probably didn't hear much of the music because of all the pew pew and the boom boom.
That is
That
true.
is- That is true. That was what I found. But upon going back and listening to it when I was thinking about my Team VG picks, I did find some very memorable tracks. So
Hell
You
yeah.
did. You did, and I found a couple that meant something to me. Scott found a couple that he enjoyed, and one of the favorite parts of doing these postmortems is sharing some of those picks with you. I would love to sit here and share even more. We typically settle on about 6 songs each episode, with about 15 minutes or so of music. But there's a lot more in this series. So please, if you like anything that you hear, don't stop here. Let this be the start of your journey into Star Fox, because there's a lot of great music in this series. Can't recommend it enough. Chat,
A ton.
would you like to hear some music? Anybody at all? Bueller?
and also
I'd
Also-
like some music.
once you you listen to some music and want to talk about it, check us out on our website at valiantgamers.com.
It is a lovely little place that we love to offer to you guys. Please come and join us if you haven't visited. We would love to have you.
But that being said, I would love to listen to some music.
All right, folks, let's do this. We will be back in about 15 minutes. Hope you enjoyed the tunes.
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole lot of bopping. Are you guys okay after that? I'm a little shook.
I am a little shook myself.
I'm reverberating.
I'm a little stirred too. But yeah, I'm telling you, if you like what you heard, that there's no shortage of really good music to be had in this series. We've got a lot to talk about. So typically, when I go into our postmortems, I have a lot of notes like written out. Take a lot of time, spending time thinking about one single game. This one's going to shake that up a little bit. I know you kind of did this with Mega Man Legends, but that was like we covered 1 and 2 and Trombone, and that was really it. Whereas we covered a lot of ground here, right?
Oh, we didn't even get to cover Trombone.
That's true. So we only really covered 2 games there. Whereas let's see, by Mike. The Southern education system might fail me here, but we've covered like 1, 2, 3, a bunch of games, a lot. I mean, easily 6 games at the least, right?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that we're going to handle our review is not really per game, although I have my feelings per game. We're going to share those, but the review that we give at the end is basically how we feel about the series and where we would like to see the series going forward. But in order to get there, we've got to start from the very beginning. So Star Fox 1, as I've opined to you guys, this was a near and dear game to me growing up. Really just showed what the future of gaming was going to look like. Nicole, I'll start with you. I know this is kind of new to you, but what were your impressions walking away from Star Fox 1?
I would have to say, well, Star Fox in general, not just Star Fox 1, it's a game that I really kind of regret not having more experience with. And that's something I never really realized until this month. It's something that with Mega Man, I watched it and I enjoyed it, but I couldn't really see myself going back and playing it. It just didn't look like my style of game.
Yeah.
Star Fox, on the other hand, I really would have enjoyed Star Fox a lot, and it's the kind of thing that, like I mentioned to you earlier, I think that my family would have enjoyed playing, not even like, playing together, but just watching each other play it. It would have been a lot of fun, and I'm sad that I didn't get a chance to do that, but yeah, I'm thinking of playing through it at some point when I get some free time. And
What's that?
I know. But no, I really enjoyed it. Surprisingly, it's like a lot of things where you've just learned a lot of things about the game or about the movie or about the song or whatever it happens to be through osmosis, just kind of like being around it, being a gamer, you know about certain things, just by it being the presence that it is. But I did get a better idea of what it was all about this month, and I'm really grateful to Scott for that. So thank you so much for playing it.
Thank you so much. You brought us a gift.
But yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'll just finish up and then you can talk. But no, I forgot what I was going to say. So go ahead.
Wow.
I was just going to interject and say I really appreciate you saying that it was surprisingly entertaining and infatuating. Because I was wondering how you were feeling. It being a series you never really played, you didn't really grow up with Nintendo. Yeah. And these are fast-paced games, so while they are fun to watch, I didn't know how well things were being absorbed and all that stuff. So it's just good to hear that it was a good time, for sure.
So this is definitely, when you think of like, I like RPGs, but when you think of games that are my style, if you're not thinking about 2D fighters, which is definitely my style, but this would be my style of game as opposed to like a Mega Man Legends. So yeah, no, this is good stuff.
It's good shit.
Awesome.
Good shit. Good shit.
I forgot. I don't have to censor myself. Yes, it's good shit.
That's right. And you were mentioning too, this is one of the easier, like, really good games that you could get back in the day that you didn't have to try to pass through mom and dad, like sell them real hard. Like, Mortal Kombat's not going to corrupt me, I swear. It's good. It's action packed and it's wholesome. It's got cute animals blowing shit up. I mean, what's there not to love?
Exactly.
For all of my opining of the original Star Fox, I will quantify that and say that it is definitely been fun to go back and revisit. It is a harder sell to make these days because if you played it when it was new, you could really appreciate that you were seeing the future. But going back to it is a lot like trying to go back and play Doom on the Super Nintendo, although not quite as bad as that. But there are just some limitations to what that original Super FX chip could do, and you feel it. I think for many, trying to play a not so fluid 3D experience that sometimes dips below 15 frames a second, that's hard to do. And it's very primitive 3D where there's like very, very few textures in the game. Like there's maybe like two on the top of my head I can think of, and that's the Star Fox logo on the Great Fox, and there's like one texture on Corneria bases. They're coming out of the base, and that's it. Everything is color shading, and it's still slow. But that really was the cutting edge of what they could do at the time, because really the Super FX chip built into the cartridge was more powerful than the hardware. I mean, really, the Super Nintendo was just kind of a host that the Star Fox Parasite could feed on and pump video and sound through its video and sound holes. Wow, that's
Are we talking about Metroid or?
I'm sorry. I find myself digressing a little bit, but it is a very glorified tech demo, and just put together in an amazing package that you would expect no less of coming from Nintendo. But it is a little rough around the edges, and the series has been basically surpassed in large part by every game that's come since then. But what a way to start. And I mean, it still lives rent-free in my brain after all these years. Just the little touches like having the puppets on the box, just to give it that kind of, this looks and feels kind of real, even though I wish Slippy didn't look quite as real. That's a little much. But just taking what little they could do with the technology at the time and just making it sing. I mean, you saw it on the Game Boy. The Game Boy shouldn't be able to put out graphics like that. And it didn't even have the benefit of a coprocessor to make it work, but somehow Argonaut made that happen. Nintendo obviously was impressed by that. And that got them the foot in the door to work on Star Fox. If there was no X, there would be no Star Fox. So mad props to his team. And as far as I can tell, Dylan Cuthbert is still deeply attached to Star Fox to this day. Was just talking about like a year ago that he still sees more Star Fox content coming out. So not just to thank Nintendo for what you've seen here, but really thank him, because that's something. Scott, did I miss anything, or is there anything you want to add?
No, that hits the nail on the head for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, Star Fox 1, it's definitely a solid start, a promise of great things to come. But it's only just within the last few years that we realized that there could have been a Star Fox 2. There should have been a Star Fox 2. But technically, for the longest time, there was no Star Fox 2. Or at least, Star Fox 2 to many people was just 64. But there was a almost fully finished Star Fox 2 sequel planned for the Super Nintendo. It was going to be taking advantage of the Super FX2, twice as powerful as the original. And it just never happened, because it was right there at the very end of the Super Nintendo era. The Nintendo 64 was being delayed, but it was coming. And not the first time we've seen in video games that a project that's pretty much done just put aside because it threatens to undercut the future plans that the company has. I understand all the reasons that Star Fox 2 didn't come out, like the logistics of it, the money of it. It makes sense. But then when it did come out, it came out in a very rough debug ROM that it was very hard to call it a game, but it had pretty much everything there, just not finished. But these nerds around the internet took it and went in and basically finished the game off. Or at least they were able to turn on some things in the background to make the game look like how it was supposed to look when it came out. And it's just wild to me to think that we had this fully finished, fledged out Star Fox ready to go that just never saw the light of day just because it didn't make sense. And it's glorious.
Crazy.
I love Star Fox 2. What did you guys think of it?
I thought it was interesting. I mean, I can't put any more articulation into my thoughts here because they kind of line up with your incredible history lesson there. But yeah, it was okay. I can't say that I really liked the whole. Not that it was difficult because I was playing on the easiest difficulty, but the whole overworld strategy of running here and doing that, and everything's happening in real time and stuff. I kind of like my stage by stage game, but
Gotcha.
I mean, it was still really fun.
It was definitely novel more than it was a really great mechanic. I don't. It is a little awkward, and like I said before with the first Star Fox 2 had a lot of great concepts that later games would flesh out and do better things with. And I know in the debug version of the game that's floating out there that there's a 2-player mode that is not available in the finished ROM, as it were, the one that came out on the Super Nintendo Classic. So I just can't help but think, like, if there was like maybe another 6 months to a year before the 64 came out and they had just a little bit more time, can you imagine a real-time Star Fox coming out for the Super Nintendo with 2-player support? Would have been fucking rad. Just
Hell yeah, dude.
Just saying. Nicole, like, how did you feel about Star Fox 2 in comparison to the original?
I don't have that much of an opinion, honestly. I watched it. I enjoyed it.
I feel you. It was kind of a one and done situation for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was an experience, and I watched it, and I liked it, but I feel like I'm lacking a lot of just like the passion that you have, Barry, because you have so much like passion and nostalgia for it, and I don't have that.
That's fair. I do feel very strongly for the early Star Foxes, and I feel a little bit of that for 64. But I think my passions for 64 are going to definitely be dwarfed by Scott's here, and he's going to have
probably.
I'm excited for the things that you have to say about it. I'm a huge Super Nintendo stan. My love of Nintendo waned a little bit from I had a Nintendo 64, so I got to enjoy 64, but there's a lot of Nintendo that I missed out on because after the 64, I kind of just petered off and went to Sony Land. I was playing a lot of PC games too, and I missed out on a lot of good games that I got to see through this series, but I was here for these games, and I think very highly of them. So I do apologize for nerding out on you guys. I know what my audience is, but I do acknowledge that these games feel very demo-y in a way, and maybe not fully realize that later games would come to address. But yeah, I like them a lot. I would have loved to see a Star Fox 2, but anyway, so we all know what everybody thinks about Star Fox 1 and 2. There's the elephant in the room. There's 64 elephants just jammed to one cartridge. And I have things to say about it, but Scott, I know you've got some things to say about it. I want to hear them.
So, I mean, I'm sure everybody knows 64 was just a glorified tech demo as well. It was the game that, first put Nintendo on the map for voice acting in their games. I know Mario had some voices in Mario 64, but this was like full-on voice acting, full sentences, a conversation, all that stuff. But also B, what I had mentioned earlier with the whole hype to the marketing video that was floating around, the Rumble Pack, force feedback. I believe that predates the DualShock controller.
It does.
And I believe, so PlayStation had recently, I believe, by the time Star Fox released, recently put out their twin dual stick controller. I forget exactly what it's called. I think it's called the Dual Analog. And then the Rumble Pack came out and just kind of took the media by storm, and they kind of like quickly swept that Dual Analog controller under the rug to bring out the Dual Shock to keep up with the hype. At least as far as I perceived it and I remember it from back then. And it was just, I was so enamored by the whole concept of feeling the game that I really took Star Fox to heart. Now, by the time I got Star Fox 64, it was Christmas time, and there were plenty of other games that utilized the Rumble Pack, but I was sold on Star Fox as the Rumble Pack game, and I was just blown away. I was blown away by how immersed I felt at that time, because the game was making me feel its bumps and bruises, and these people were talking to each other, and there was emotion behind their voices, and the voice acting was, for the time, really well done. And this became a really big game for my growth in gaming. I think I was 12 at the time this came out, at the time I got it, and man, it was just so great. It was fantastic. I might have been 13. This was 97, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I was 13.
Yeah.
I just have such good memories playing this game by myself, trading off the controller between stages with friends, playing versus, working so hard to get all the medals on every stage so I can unlock all the extras. It was both a letdown and hilarious when I got the final unlock of the game, which was unlocking just the pilots running around with cannons on their shoulders in versus mode. And man, so much fun was had just with that after I got to that point that, I mean, I couldn't have been disappointed after all that time I spent with my friends and just making really good memories with this game.
Yeah, hearing you talk about that makes me want to sit down and spend more time with this game. Not unfamiliar to it. I did not own a copy of this game when it was new, but I rented it. I had friends that played it and opined about it and loved it. I even played a couple of multiplayer matches on Star Fox, and it really, like I've talked about the original Star Foxes, Star Fox 1 and 2 being kind of tech demos, things to come. And I don't know that I would say that 64 even feels like a tech demo. It just this game is what the developers were trying to bring to us this whole time, but now they had the wherewithal and the means of doing so. And it really just kind of brought Star Fox to its natural, from those early beginnings to that natural conclusion. And like you said, it really just sells the tech so well. It's not a tech demo; it is the killer app for the 64. I think if you had to have any one of these three games for the 64, whether it's Mario 64, Zelda, or Star Fox, pick one of those three games. But if you didn't have one of those three games, you did not have the quintessential Nintendo 64 experience.
That's very true. However, I would argue, and the reason I call it a tech demo game through and through, I would argue that we wouldn't have Star Fox 64 if it wasn't for Rumble Pack. We would probably have gotten Star Fox 2.
Interesting. Okay. I'm not as huge of I wasn't as huge of a buff for Force Speed back then. It was nice. It for some like you, it was really game changing. I guess I didn't. I guess it didn't really affect me in the same way, but I did find it to be very novel. The thing that I found that was best about Star Fox 64 are those branching paths that you have. The multiplayer was a really nice touch too.
Yeah.
And
Especially something. Excuse me.
No, go for it.
That's something I would have liked to have done, to see if we could get like a multiplayer game hooked up for the game of the month or something like that.
Well, I mean, we are doing the Valiant Together series of games, which we have another coming up tomorrow, where where we're doing Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. So if you are living under a rock and you haven't heard about it, please come and join us. Valiant Gamers Discord will have more information. That is beside the point, though. The point that I wanted to mention, I would very much love to see like a night set aside for Star Fox multiplayer or something like that, like or Nintendo 64 games in general, like Star Fox multiplayer, GoldenEye, and Mario Party. Come the fuck on. That'd be a great like Tuesday or Saturday night.
Not bad, not bad. But no, I would have liked to explore it while it was Game of the Month, but that's just me thinking out loud.
Understandable.
Well, yeah, in hindsight, that would have been cool to if we would have been available on Thursday to spend some time trying to get some good old Star Fox games up running for multiplayer.
Yeah, that would have given me a chance to try it.
Well, hey, you know what? If we don't do it, like, we obviously didn't get a chance to do it for Game of the Month, right? And I don't know when we would get to do like a 64 night for Valiant together, but let's talk about that off stream and maybe make something happen. Maybe we can do an off stream one night. One of the nights we don't usually stream, just something different. Maybe we can do that. I think it'd be fun.
Well, we'll plan it on the looking for group section of the Valiant Gamer site.
It's nice if you guys are looking for friends to play your favorite games with. Let us know. But
so many nice features.
Yeah. Star Fox 64 really is a culmination of all those great ideas. And like Grimace said, 1 and 2 walked so 64 could run and we could feel every single step.
Oh, yes.
Musically speaking, I think that the game is strong in spite of its limitations. Because I feel like the 64 was a setback in terms of the resources kind of available to do cool stuff. You could have CD quality audio, but it would come at great cost, right? Because unlike the Super Nintendo, which had a dedicated sound processor, a lot of the sound processing, in my understanding, is a lot of the sound processing on the 64 was done on the CPU. And the CPU is not only handling that, it's handling all the game logic, it's handling feeding stuff to the RSP, the 3D graphics unit too. It's very busy. And so the sound budgets, the things that you could do with sound on the 64 were not nearly as impressive, in my opinion, in proportion to the sound things that you could do on the Super Nintendo compared to the rest of that system. I know it was a big deal for F-Zero, another often neglected Nintendo franchise that we would love to cover at some point here on Game of the Month, because like Star Fox, I don't think that the series has gotten enough love from Nintendo. But the point I'm trying to make is it was a big deal for F-Zero to get 30 racers on screen at 60 frames a second with few dips. And it had really good quality music too. The compromise is it was slightly lower bitrate than CD audio, and it was monaural. So no stereo sound, but that was the compromise that they made to get all of this running at full speed. So the point I'm trying to make is, in spite of having what I feel like was almost inferior sound hardware capabilities compared to the Super Nintendo, 64 still manages to shine. I mean, you get the Star Wolf theme is born here. Area 6 was a really good pick on Scott's part for one of our picks of the month. There's really good music to be had.
Yeah. I would agree.
Absolutely love Area 6.
So that I have to admit, my expertise on the context of Star Fox starts to wear a little bit thin. So Scott's probably going to do some of the more heavy lifting for the rest of the games in our list here, because a lot of these were like Command, 64 3D, and Zero. All those were completely new to me.
Right on. So after 64, the next game in the list that we did not play was Star Fox Adventures for the GameCube. And it was, at least for the games that came after it, kind of a central plot point for the series, because you have that dinosaur planet, you have Tricky the dinosaur, you have who wound up being a member of the team for the rest of these games, most of these games, Crystal. And I tried, I think we talked about this before, I've tried playing the game back when it came out, and it played too much like Zelda, but the one thing that tipped me over the edge to never play it again was that every time you started the game up, in spite of Zelda, when you get an item for the first time and you get that whole hurrah sequence, you don't see it again in Zelda. Once you get it, that's one and done. You get that sequence once for each item, and that's it. In Star Fox Adventures, however, every time you loaded your save, every single item had that little hurrah moment. It was only once for that play session, but it would be once more every time you loaded your save, and that just annoyed me enough to the point I didn't want to deal with it, and I didn't care enough. Now, I did see the end of that game thanks to my buddy Zach Prower, if he's still in chat. He was having trouble with the final boss, which was a traditional Star Fox segment, and I helped blast through that. So that was fun, but playing through the rest of the game to get to that minor and short-lived point didn't seem worth it to me.
Yes, he is still in chat, as you can see.
Nice.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, so he and I kind of tag teamed. Really, he did all the work through Star Fox Adventures.
It sounds
but we
like,
tag teamed.
it sounds kind of like it was kind of a consequence of it really just being a completely different game that, they just kind of shoehorned Star Fox into at the end, because it's like, well, we don't know what to do with this game. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, they did kind of take a game that Rare was working on and shoehorn Star Fox into it. It was originally supposed to come out on the Nintendo 64 called Dinosaur Planet, and they actually have a mostly working development ROM floating around for that game, where you play as a different Fox character running around, and Crystal looks really different, and it's actually pretty cool. And I think because we went into Star Fox Adventures, because we went into that knowing that it used to be something else, and the fact that it played a lot like a Zelda game, I think my bias at the time really kicked in and just really prevented me from enjoying a game I probably really would have enjoyed.
Do you think you'd be able to give it another chance and get something out of it now more than you would have back then?
If I were to give myself the time to sit down and go through it, yeah. And I thought about it actually for this game of the month, but with all the games that Star Fox has out there, which granted could be a lot more if Nintendo gave the franchise the time of day, but I just don't think, because of how long it's estimated to beat, which is around 13 hours, I don't think there would have been enough time to squeeze that one in.
That definitely would not have been a beat in one stream kind of game. So
right, which, in all honesty, beating it in one stream wasn't the goal. And honestly, going into Star Fox Zero, I thought there may be 2 streams for that, but that's just the way it worked.
You're just too good.
But there wasn't, because you're a goddamn professional.
Exactly.
Well, hey, if you ever decided to play it either here on Valiant Gamers or on your personal channel, just let me know. I'll be there. I'd love to see what I missed out on.
Oh yeah, will do.
So what do we have next on the docket?
Next on the docket is Star Fox Assault for the GameCube. It follows. It is a sequel to Star Fox Adventures,
and that's the one that was co-developed with Namco, right?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we had Star Fox Adventures, which was Rare, which was actually one of Rare's last games developed while under Nintendo's banner before Microsoft bought them. Fun little fact. But with Star Fox Assault, yeah, they teamed up with Namco, and Namco did a lot of it. And I gotta say, I wound up enjoying that game more now today, this day and age, than I did back in that day. I was once again with my buddy Zach Prower, and we rented Star Fox Assault from Blockbuster back when those were around, and beat it in a night.
Nice.
We both kind of laughed about that. I rented Star Fox Assault, and I rented Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty, and I beat Star Fox Assault in one night, and I beat Metal Gear Solid 2 in another night. And I was really unimpressed with Metal Gear Solid 2's ending. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, well, good old Kojima writing. I love the first Metal Gear Solid, but I
Yes.
I played it and I was like, this was really interesting, and I'm glad that I played it, but I don't know if I can do another game of this bullshit. And then I started catching wind of what two is going to be allowed, and my interest in Metal Gear Solid in general just kind of waned after that. I'm not a Kojima
Hmm.
stan.
I was working at a Babbage's, little 16-year-old me working at a
Ooh,
Babbage's
what a
when
throwback! I haven't heard
when
that
the
word in a long, long time.
At
when the
least in that
PS2
context.
launched. Yeah. And I believe it was Tekken Tag Tournament that had a Metal Gear Solid 2 demo disc. Is
Hmm.
that right? No, that's not Konami. That's what game was it? Zone of the Enders, I think it was.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember
It
the
came
Zone
with
of the Enders demo disc.
Yeah, that came with a Metal Gear Solid 2 demo disc. And we popped that baby into the demo station PlayStation 2 for the store, and I was fucking blown away. I was blown away at what the PS2 could produce
Hmm.
from that little demo. Um, so I rented that once I had a PS2, which was years later. Didn't know anything about the game because back in that day you didn't have YouTube, you didn't have uh, videos of people playing through and beating games. You didn't have streamers. You didn't have anything like that. So I didn't really read up on the game. I didn't look at spoilers or anything like that. It was a lot easier to avoid back in the day. It was a lot easier to not be enticed to be spoiled. And finding out that a lot of this game was playing as this ninja named Raiden or Raiden was just like, nah, I don't know about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Star Fox Assault, on the other hand, I was genuinely unimpressed at the time. There's another game for GameCube, a little space flying shooter game that I believe Namco did called Defender. It was like a 3D version of the old arcade game from the 80s, Defender. And I got that because I thought it looked freaking cool. It was super cheap. It was like in the discount bin, and it was super cheap, and I got it. And I was kind of let down because of the hit detection. When you run into stuff, I accidentally swerved myself down into the like corner of where the mountain meets the ground, right?
Right.
I should have just blown up. And I didn't. I just came to a full stop, and I had to weave myself out of that position in order to fly around again in this Defender game. And I was like, I guess I'm glad I didn't die, but I'm also like, that I don't feel like that's a good thing. It didn't feel great. And
Yeah.
I was feeling the same sort of thing with Star Fox Assault. And now that I've played it, now that I have years and years and years and years of actual full 3D stuff going on, 3D games under my belt, it feels a lot better than I remember. I can't really place it other than to compare it with another game that everybody really loves, and I still to this day have this weird bias against Mario Kart Double Dash for the GameCube. And there's something about, I don't know if it was just the fact that they were full 3D models, and so there was actual 3D hit detection, and just, it was weird. It was way different than I felt playing hours and hours and hours and hours of Mario Kart 64, and it didn't feel right. And I just wonder if that stunted me at the time for Star Fox, because I played hours and hours and hours and hours of Star Fox 64 with specific hit box expectations and stuff, and it just felt weird.
Maybe.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really know what my problem was back then. I still don't think it's up to snuff, having played it through emulator, to what Star Fox should be, but I still really enjoyed my time with it this time around than I did back then.
It was definitely not unenjoyable to watch. It probably is something that I would feel very similar to what you said if I had come off of playing a lot of 64 and the original Star Foxes and played this. I think the big thing that I walked away from with this is it didn't really seem to bring anything new to the table. Like, we had the foundations laid with the first two Star Foxes, and then 64 just took off running and ramped all of those things up to 11. what does this game bring? And aside from slightly playing loose controls that don't feel quite the same as like you would expect from 64, missing some of those creature comforts, it just, I mean, apart from taking some of those characters that were introduced in Adventures, because Crystal was in, I seem to remember her being in Assault 2, right?
Yeah. This was a sequel to Adventures, so she's part of the team now, and Peppy is significantly older.
Yeah,
I remember that.
So yeah, like narratively speaking, there's some new touches, but I mean, Star Fox, it's not a game that's grounded very heavily in its lore, and that's going to come to its detriment in the next game that we talk about. I just don't feel like there was a whole lot new and interesting that was done here, and it would have felt like a letdown back in the day. Having said that, I still enjoyed watching you play it, and would probably give it a swing on the emulator sometime. If I have a Saturday afternoon, I don't know what to do with.
There was plenty new. I was. Go ahead, Nicole. I'll get into that.
No, it's okay. Before we got too far away, I wanted to mention something earlier, but unfortunately, you started in on the talk about Assault, which was very interesting, and don't feel bad about that. But we were talking about Metal Gear Solid 2 and Zone of the Enders. This is. I'm going off topic a little bit. I won't stay off topic long, but. There's nothing. When you said those two game names, it brought me back to when we first met and like Game Sakai and all of that, and it's just like total flashback because it was like those are the games. So thank you for that total wave. I remember you mentioning that you worked at Babbage's, and I worked at EB Games at the time, and I remember that. So yeah, sorry, I digress.
Yeah.
Continue.
It's such a good time.
We love our digressions here. Please never stop.
But yeah, so Assault brought so I talked about how 64, the very last thing you can unlock is running around with just the pilot running around on the ground with a cannon on his shoulder.
Right.
They kind of brought that into the fold as part of the main game in
now that is true.
Star Fox Assault, and then they also gave you the option to jump in and out of vehicles depending on the stage. I was
thinking about
really new to the series as well.
That reminded me of a mechanic in a couple of games, one that may not be familiar to some here, but another one that may be. There was a game for the Super Nintendo called Cybernator, and it took place where you would like pilot these big mechs and stuff, but you could jump out and run and commandeer other mechs. Of course, if a mech shot at you while you're outside of a mech, it would pretty much kill you instantly. But there was an unofficial sequel to that game called Front Mission Gun Hazard, and some of you might be familiar with the Front Mission series as a strategy game, but Gun Hazard was very much not a strategy game, but it was basically a sequel to Cybernator, where you could also get out of mechs and fight hand to hand. And that's kind of a draw of Warframe, isn't it? Warframe is a mech fighting game where you can get out and fight. I'm showing how out of touch I am, but that seems to be a thing, yeah?
I don't think Warframe is mech more than it is like just suits of armor.
Super suit, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
super suits. Yeah.
Gotcha. I don't know what I'm thinking of then. I would love to see more games have that capability. So you do have me there. That was something that was new. I wish more games would play around with that.
It was new, and I guess it wasn't well received because they never did it again.
It just seems so weird to me though that they would take I wouldn't call Star Fox one of their flagship series, but it is a series that's closely identified with Nintendo, and just offhand it to somebody and be like, here you go. Good luck, Namco. We're all counting on you.
Yeah. Namco did what they could, and it was all right. My biases aside. That was an era where Nintendo was really just leaning on big named third parties to take on some of their core franchises. Like Sega in that era took on F-Zero, and they did a fantastic job. That's still the best F-Zero game to date, F-Zero GX.
Yeah, boy. Oh my God, we need to do an F-Zero month, guys. Let's.
There's the same era that Capcom took on the Zelda series with the Game Boy Color titles, Oracle of Ages and Seasons.
That is true. Now that you think about it, yeah. So Capcom took over Zelda. Sega took over Star Fox. What what do you think the business impetus was behind that? Because it's not like they were weak. I mean, they, the GameCube era, well, they were not seeing quite the success that they were seeing in the 16-bit days and with the 64, but they were also really strong on the portable front too. So it's not like Nintendo was super weak, but any explanation?
If I had to guess, and I'm not going to use this as fact or anything, it's just me thinking out loud. But here recently, you hear Shigeru Miyamoto and Eiji Aonuma and other higher ups from Nintendo talk about the rising costs and time of development. And I have to imagine that at that time, I mean, that was 128 bits of 3D graphics. That was incredible. And they at that time they were trying to stay ahead of the curve with graphics. I believe, technically speaking, the GameCube slightly edged out the PlayStation 2 in terms of graphical prowess, give or take a few multi-platform games that looked better on one or the other. But I have to imagine, they got out of the graphics race after that era. Like, they didn't have much success with the GameCube, and they probably were just like, fuck it, just tape two of them together and put a waggle remote on it for the next one.
I mean, it really did work out to their advantage, and we were talking during the Team VG picks about how Nintendo started to lean more on modes of gameplay and ways of experiencing gameplay, and that is something that they've always stayed ahead of the curve on, is just changing the way we think about interacting with their games. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but they are in that regard willing to take risks that nobody else seems to want to. And I do respect that about them.
Yes, I mean, we were just talking earlier about how, these days the experimentation comes from indie developers, and it's not as robust as it was when the main squeezes were in their experimental phase.
Yeah, you're starting to see a lot more calculated risk happening out, from the 2000s onward, and it's a different landscape. I mean, I think we are pushing silicon and computer hardware to some of their utmost limits, but so I do wish more people kind of understood how exciting it was to see those huge leaps and strides. But I still want to be hopeful that we're not yet out of ways to be surprised. And definitely, there's a game that was not afraid to surprise us with some of the strangest lore that I've ever seen in any video game. Would you like to take us in that direction, Scott?
Yeah. So the next game after Assault is another sequel on the DS called Command, and I want to say that this game, in addition to Kirby's Canvas Curse, is another one of those tech demo Star Foxes.
Yeah.
Just because of how they managed to make... Now, it felt freaking awkward using a mouse, but when I played it on the DS with the stylus, it was really cool to see how they managed to put in those touch controls. Now, it didn't grab everybody. Again, my buddy Zach Prower in chat here, he didn't care for it. He let us know back when we streamed it. And I can respect that. I didn't have a problem with it. I actually really liked those controls, but I like Wii controls, and I like motion controls and gyro controls and all that stuff. And Zach and I both have another local friend of ours that just abhors anything that's not just traditional press the button and receive the bacon. Another throwback meme there.
Yeah, love to hear it.
But other than the cool controls of Command, they tried another direction with Star Fox in basically a visual novel series. And that, I don't know, man. Playing that today, that was pretty cringy. It was bad. But back in my early 20s when that came out, I liked it. I wouldn't say I was like blown away or I was like extremely immersed or anything like that, but I was really curious to see where all of this was going, and worked to get every single ending I don't think I ever got every single ending. I think I hit a point where it was just really tough, and I just didn't care enough at that point because I had played through all the other endings, and I couldn't tell you which ending it was. I didn't end up getting, but I tried, and I was determined for a good while before letting it go.
I can safely say that we were all pretty cringy in our 20s. So.
Oh absolutely. I'm still cringy now, but just in new and exciting ways.
I was just about to say. Still cringy now, but in ways we won't realize for another 5 to 10 years.
Same cringe, different era, you know.
The other thing that I didn't really like too much was the almost inspired by Star Fox 2 style of overworld strategy going into all these little skirmishes.
Yeah, it's like they remembered, hey, nobody actually played that game that we totally finished but didn't release. Let's do something with that. It is definitely a spiritual successor to 2 in that regard.
Yeah, and I did like how you could draw your path. And I did like how you could scribble over the fog to clear the fog. And they tried to give some lore-based reasons behind that I didn't pay attention to. That was cool, but just having to worry about so much on the screen at once is just not my forte when it comes to video games. And if they had done another DS Star Fox where it was just stage after stage like I like it with those controls, I think it would have been such
Go on.
Holy shit. Oh, that hurts my throat. Oh shit.
It's like you got a frog in there. I'll see myself out.
Oh man, where was I going with that? What was I saying? I've already forgotten. I'm too distracted by that hot ass chick on the screen.
Oh boy.
She looks slippery.
Yeah, I bet she was done when Slippy was done with her.
Slippy when wet.
See, I'm still cringe. I'm in a different era of cringe, but some things never change. First of all, Droba, I saw you out there. Hello and welcome if you're still there. We just
Dr. Oba?
Yeah, it's
Dr. Obotic?
It's Dr. Obotic. One of our favorites. We just get on tangents and we have to talk about these things. I mean, there's the giant ass frog in love in the room here that we can focus on, but I'm gonna leave it on screen for a second. I've got some more scenes from the game that we're gonna marinate on too. But I really want to focus on the gameplay of it. Ambitious, having that second screen to give you more detail. I loved my DS. That was one of the kind of aberrations there where I missed out on a lot of Nintendo content, but I did have a Nintendo DS.
Same.
And played the hell out of it. Loved Animal Crossing Wild World. This one did not get on this one didn't get on my radar. And I probably would have enjoyed playing it, but gameplay wise, the thing that I noticed very quickly that while the whole Fog of War mechanic was interesting at first, it seems like it would get old very quickly. But another thing that was very interesting at first but got old very quickly was every stage has to end by crashing your ship into the big spaceship a la Independence Day. And doing that a couple of times is fine, but when that's the way that you end just about every level of the game, it just seemed very lazy.
Yes, yeah. I completely agree. It's like, we got a thing, it seems to work, it seems to have play tested okay, all right, let's just do this. We got a whole game right here. It's like they tried to focus on making the story of Star Fox more... How would you describe a visual novel? More like that. More, not cinematic, but, and not really immersive, but, I don't know. I don't really do visual novels, so I don't really have the descriptors for it that I wanted to have on hand.
It was world building for idiots. And then
dramatic. That's perfect.
Yeah. It was dramatic for the sake of being dramatic, and this was not a unique game in this era. It seemed like Nintendo DS and Game Boy Advance games were really trying to push RPG style narrative into just about every single game that they could, whether it belonged there or not. And I think this is one of those games where it's like, I could see the Star Fox world being fleshed out, not like this. I did not need a dating sim in my Star Fox. I did not need this in my life. And yet, however, I think about it. Where is it? Where did it go? Where did it go? There it is. But at the same time, I didn't need this picture of Star Fox crying as his big titty wolf girlfriend runs away. But at the same time, it did give us a whole new emote to put on the channel and the forum. So it left some kind of mark there. I'll say that much.
It lives in infamy.
Everybody, throw your forks, your fork McClorks all in chat.
It is a subscriber mode, so not everyone may have it.
It is.
Yeah, I think that's banned just about everybody.
We just keep banning people, and we
might have to go on a banning rampage.
Oh no. Oh no, somebody's got to stop this man before he does something drastic. I got to get this cringe off my screen too, and goodbye. But yeah, we had a lot of fun with this game, even if it wasn't intentional.
Sorry.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say, as a Star Fox neophyte, I probably enjoyed watching Command more than watching any of the other games.
Okay.
All right.
I'm not going to say that it was the best, like objectively. I wouldn't by far say it looked like the most fun, but it was very entertaining to watch. So
that is true. Well, again, we can't brag on our boy Scott here enough. Selbake really is a fantastic presenter. We're glad to have him here whenever he's able to have time, and that helped a lot. But also, it's not a bad game, but there's very few games that reach a territory that B movies do. Because like with B movies, those are a very passive experience, and it's hard to get that same feel out of a game because a bad game annoys you. It's an active experience, and if you're not actively having fun playing it, you really just want to turn it off. But this was the kind of game where the gameplay wasn't offensive, but the presentation was so fucking bonkers that I was like, what is it going to do next? I don't know. I don't know what kind of bullshit they're going to throw at me. Let's just stick around to see what happens. and in that regard, it felt very B-movie in a good way.
Yeah, I could see that. One thing we didn't go through is once you unlock those paths, and you could see it with the different endings and how they didn't really match up with each other. But there were different characters that we didn't meet through that first playthrough, and the different branches you can take really pivots the story one way or another. And I thought it was really cool how they had you didn't have a choice your first time through, but the more you played, the more you unlocked, and the more choice you had in what decisions you made. Like instead of going to try and find Slippy's fiance on whatever planet she was on, Fortuna, I think. I forget. It was going to help. I think the option was going to help General Pepper.
Maybe it was another planet that starts with the F. But yeah, like that. I believe that pivots off into the young monkey. I forget his name. It was like Andros's nephew or something. Andrew, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. And there's a whole thing with him too, and depending on what you do from there, he either becomes evil or he becomes good, and it was really cool. Now, I pondered back in the day on which one of these endings was canon, which one are they going to use going forward, blah 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 blah. And it just didn't happen because the next game on our list is Star Fox Zero, which is yet another reboot of the franchise. Probably for the better. Honestly.
Imagine that poor intern that spent like all those weekends writing this world building lore for the future of Star Fox, just to be like.
I don't think that internship went too well for him. Just saying.
Apparently not. But you know what? Nicole told us the character. I would have been able to tell you, Andrew. So she was invested. I think we were all invested more than we thought we were going to be.
Yeah.
No, I told you I was I honestly got sucked more into the world of Star Fox watching that game than any other game, which is kind of sad because like the original game was a classic and I recognize it. I saw it when you were playing it. I recognized it. Like, this is a classic. You can tell just by watching it.
Yeah.
But I got more invested in the universe of Star Fox watching Command than any of the other games you played. So I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm, a child of the early aughts, liking my fanfic drama bullshit. I don't know.
I think it was my voice acting, honestly.
It is very riff worthy. But you know what? I totally missed.
It had a lot of.
I missed the fact, like we talked about the quality of the voice acting in 64, and it has aged really well. Like, unlike a lot of 3D early 3D era games from the early PS1 and the 64, Star Fox 64 is a banger. Like, even 3D came out, and though it's got a nice coat of paint, it fundamentally is still like the same base game underneath. It didn't need a lot of updating in that regard. But man, 64 is so riffable. Like, I can't tell you the number of times I just say lines from 64 to Scott, because it's like, Scott, I love you. I love you. I acknowledge you. Cocky little freak!
Beautiful. I could kiss you for that.
Oh,
The
thing
entire
said-
game. Sorry. I thought
just
you were done.
no.
Oh,
sorry.
that's it. That's all I had to say.
No, I was talking to Nicole. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying, just things said on the planet Vagina.
China!
Oh,
I mean,
you have brought that into my world, and I am all the better for it.
We were dancing. We were circling around it, trying not to directly approach it, but you know.
I just went straight into the vagina. I have no problem with that.
Did you come yet?
Not yet.
As a gamer, I was a little intimidated.
Well, we did find the planet China, but we'll never find the planet.
All right, we gotta get this
Moving
moving,
on.
guys.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Apple kids over there like, don't drag me into this.
This is the name of my franchise.
What are you talking
oh
about?
my god.
What are you talking
Fox
about?
Zero.
I get lots of pussy over here. Anyway, moving on.
Oh shit! Star Fox Zero, another reboot. Which at the time I was a little sad about it. You know, again, I've been thinking about how they're gonna progress the story, progress the franchise and the series from Command, and they come out with Star Fox Zero, which is a reboot of the series. I was a little sad about that. I wasn't upset about it. And, like, it made sense. It had been, 10 years since Command came out, or longer, by the time Zero came out, that, yeah, they have a whole freaking generation of kids that have never even seen the game before to think about. So it made sense to reboot, despite the fact that they haven't rebooted Mario, they haven't rebooted Zelda, blah, 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 blah. So I went into the game knowing I was going to have a great time, but still like, okay, Star Fox Zero, right? It's the origin story, so the next Star Fox will just be Star Fox, and it will go from here. Okay, I'm in. Let's do it. Unfortunately, Miyamoto gave the stipulation almost a threat, honestly. It wasn't a good time for fans of Miyamoto, that's for sure, because he was making a lot of statements and a lot of stuff that just didn't sit well with people at that time. But he gave what I want to call was a threat that he's working really hard on Star Fox, and if it doesn't do well, the series will be shelved.
Mm.
And so don't expect Star Fox for a while, because Star Fox Zero did poorly. Did very poorly, even for the Wii U standards, because that system was very poor,
Yeah.
monetarily speaking. I enjoyed it. I liked it, but this game in particular, even though I'm a big Star Fox fan, and even though it plays really great, this game in particular kind of had a lot of disconnect with its forced two views at once mechanic. And that's mainly because they also kind of mandated motion controls or gyro controls. And so you're looking down at the Wii U gamepad screen for the first person view, and then up on the TV screen to see your surroundings a little better because it's the third person view. Especially when you're locked on, so you can just look at the big enemy you're fighting against at all times. And having to use those gyro controls for precision aiming and looking down, and say you have to move to the left, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at the Wii U gamepad, and then you have to move to the left in order to move your target reticle, and then you have to look up and to the right, and it's just a lot of bobbing your head up and down and around and just all over the place. That it didn't work well. It didn't work as well as it would have if it was just on, say, the 3DS at the time, where the two screens are together. Then you can gyro control all you want, and all your screens are still right there with you, and it would have been a lot smoother.
I got you. So that actually brings, I don't mean to derail you, but that I have a pressing question that you brought to light. How did you feel playing it in an emulator context where both of the screens are really close together versus you like playing on an actual Wii U having to look down and up and down and up? Did you find it easier to do that way?
Much, much easier. It was still awkward. I still had a little trouble, especially on the landmaster level where there was just this giant fucking spider, and you had to shoot the legs down, and then you had to hover onto the top to shoot the antennas off of all the different sides.
Mm-hmm.
I still struggled a little bit, but not nearly as much as I did when I played, and I wasn't really struggling with the view. It was more the controls and just me not leaning into the mechanics of the landmaster. I think the landmaster is what I had the most trouble with.
Gotcha.
And perhaps the tiny little robot that comes down from the gyro wing.
Mm-hmm.
That was a little awkward, but it was slow, right? So you could easily course correct. With the landmaster, especially on stages like that where it's all chaotic and you got to move. It was a little rough for me, but I think that's more of a skill issue. It was far and away so much easier to concentrate when the screens were statically together that it wound up being it completely changed my mind. This game is the greatest Star Fox game, and it just was hindered by what Miyamoto considered to be a necessary forced controls to give the Wii U a system seller.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, but also at the same time, I really had so much fun.
Kind of Star Fox's folly.
Yeah.
Well, what was your take on Zero, Nicole?
I definitely enjoyed it. I felt like it was very polished. It would have been interesting to see it being played on a Wii U. I do see how it would be a lot easier playing it on a computer where you have both of the screens in the same space.
Yeah.
I think I would have had a harder time playing it. I don't really know how. I'm almost kind of curious to try it myself, just because I don't know whether it would be easier for me to have two screens to look at or to have a bigger screen to look at all on one screen. I don't know.
So you do have a brand spanking new computer, an absolute lad of a beast that probably would suit itself well for Wii U emulation. Maybe you can give that a swing sometime. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, I also have a Wii U, so.
That's okay. So
yeah, heck that baby, and legally copy your copy of Star Fox Zero onto it. Absolutely.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
A totally legal copy. Don't go on the internet looking for stuff because Nintendo doesn't like that. And we
No.
don't. And we
we do not condone that.
We do
You could
not.
borrow my copy.
Yeah, I'll just swing by your house and grab it.
But we need to read the terms of service first to make sure that that's okay. You know.
But no, I enjoyed watching it. I could tell that it was a polished game.
Yeah, I feel bad for the Wii U in general for really being as ambitious as it was in the games and the gameplay modes it was trying to push. But I just couldn't shake the feeling that the Wii U felt very much like Nintendo's 32X, where
Mhm.
it had a lot of these holdovers from the previous era really holding it back, but it was trying so much to do something new. Um, but the end result was one that I found very hard to justify going out to buy, and I never did.
Yeah.
I did finally fall back into the Nintendo fold. I do have a Nintendo Switch now that needs to see more action, and I wonder if it would be possible to trim this game up in a way that would fit well on the Switch. Would love to see it
Yeah.
I think so. Yes.
because I definitely see the complaints that you have and how that would be an ergonomics issue and get very tiring after a while. Because, like, I also think of VR. I think VR is very interesting and it's going to change some lives, not just in terms of gameplay, but the experiences that it can bring to people. And yet, it's a type of game mode that I wouldn't see myself wanting to spend more than an hour or so at a time with, just because it's like it's a lot easier with just a controller and one screen or two screens really close together to focus for longer periods of time. Um, but that being said, I asked you that earlier because I wanted to see how it compared because I had no problem following Zero as a third person viewer. I'm not playing or anything, but I really enjoyed what I saw of Zero. I thought it was almost
Hmm.
in ways a return to form for
Mhm.
Star
Yes.
Fox. It had a great deal of polish in terms of not only the graphical presentation, but the sound. It was all those things like it was all those things that I think I would have hoped to have seen out of Command and Assault. Um, and building on that great foundation laid by 64 in the earlier games too. It's just a shame that it ended up on a system that just had no chance. It never had a chance to be in
Yeah.
my periphery because I was busy doing other things and have to be judicious with my money. But I would love to see them bring this to the Switch so I could try it myself, or at the very
Mhm.
least, give it a swing on my legally acquired copy on an emulator. Um,
Mhm.
that being said, it was my favorite to watch. It looked like it was extremely challenging at points too. I mean, the Star Fox games are no slouches, but this game wasn't pulling punches. That final battle was riveting to watch. Like you just barely
Yeah. Yeah.
pulling by
Yeah.
that win by the skin of your teeth. I was
Mhm.
trapped.
It was something else. Grimace pulls up another thing I want to talk about. He says he wants to shout out how good the animation that we displayed for Zero was.
Agreed.
That rocked. Yeah, they went all out on the marketing for this game. They had that animation short for the E3 presentation that year, or at least the reveal year. They had full-on puppets made. They had the Jim Henson Company come out and manage the puppets while they talked their whole speech and everything. It was it was something else. It was fantastic. It was a fantastic time for Star Fox fans, and everything was perfect except for the forced Wii U mechanics. And it's
Mhm.
so unfortunate that that is just what killed everything because everything was on track. Everything was on track. It was so good.
And surely there's somebody at Nintendo that understands this because, and this is going to figure into my review of the series as a whole later. It's not Star Fox doesn't really truly have a bad game. I mean, I think there was a gotcha game that you mentioned, possibly us visiting when we have time for. But the mainline games in the series, even the worst one, is still better than some of the mediocre and bad games that I've played out there. The
Hmm.
concept is solid. The aesthetic of Star Fox is really great. It's kind of breathing fresh air to that tried and true space shooter, space opera kind of formula. And if there's anybody that can deliver that kind of promise, it's got to be Nintendo. But I just feel like Star Fox gets trotted out to be a demo of things that Nintendo wants to try in the future.
Yes.
But they don't really give the series a chance to stand on its own as one of their major flagships. And I think that's a real missed opportunity.
That is something I think they're slowly course correcting because Metroid was the same way, but now Metroid is kind of like their third IP flagship title.
Hmm.
You've got Mario, then you've got Zelda, and now you've got Metroid. It is by and away become way more popular than I think it's ever been. It's making really good sales over the other titles, I think. But unfortunately, Star Fox and F-Zero, to throw that in the pile, both
God.
of them have
don't hurt me.
they've already been confirmed by statements from Miyamoto that they are the gimmick games. They are the games that showcase a gimmick of the system. And F-Zero has laid dormant for so long. Last statement about F-Zero we heard from Nintendo was a statement from Miyamoto himself, who said, yeah, we don't have any plans to bring F-Zero to the Wii because we haven't found a good reason, a good gimmick to make the game with. And that's the only statement that they've really made as a company, let alone from Miyamoto himself, who kind of oversees that IP plus a few others. And I have to imagine that is still the reason we haven't seen an F-Zero. That is the reason we saw Star Fox on Wii U, and the reason we haven't seen Star Fox since.
That's heartbreaking. You said the F word. You touched on a nerve spot. You know what F-Zero means to me. And
listen,
yeah.
I want F-Zero. F-Zero 99, I will give them that. The F-Zero 99 did come out. I completely overlooked that in my statement there. And that is a fun game, but look at Nintendo's track record of all these fun, giant multiplayer games. They had Tetris 99, they had Super Mario 35, both of which I believe the service for Tetris 99 is ending, if it's not already ended, and Super Mario 35 service ended within the year it came out.
Yeah,
so
I think F-Zero, if F-Zero 99 is still around in a year, I'll be surprised.
Right, exactly. And it's so cool that we can get in there and do that and play F-Zero 99 and race against 98 other players at the same time. But given their track record, how can we expect it to last? There are people who can enjoy it while it lasts, and there are people who probably won't play it because they're like, well, what's the point? The service is going to end and I won't be able to play it.
Grievous is going to get me on a fucking shoebox over here, just shouting to anybody that'll listen to me. This is my
an epic.
Yeah, I mean, I have some strong feelings about game preservation and Nintendo's efforts to thwart it.
Yeah.
Miyamoto is 71 years old. I had to Google that. I didn't know that off the top of my head, but I knew he was getting up there in years. He's been with Nintendo for a long time, and I am not here to piss on the man that brought us Mario and Star Fox and Zelda and a myriad of other IPs that any game company would be lucky to have just one of these games as their legacy IP to lean on. But Nintendo just shits them out left and right. They make great characters, and it's in large part been thanks to Miyamoto's inspiration and his designs. And yet, the problem with Nintendo is, even though they're always willing to try new control schemes and little gimmicks to see what's fun, but at the same time, I do wish that Miyamoto would step down and let some new blood come in and think about the future of Nintendo and how they can take that willingness to experiment and take that and act as bravely in other parts of the company as they should. Because I really go on.
He's actually made the statements kind of echoing exactly what you're wishing for here. Like, he's not doing it tomorrow, but he is guiding newer, fresher, younger developers and leads to take over so that he can eventually retire without worrying about the direction of where Nintendo's games will go and blah 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 blah. So he's mentoring now, and obviously he still has a lot of say of what happens to these IPs and these franchises that he's over. But I would say fairly soon we will see that pivot, and who knows what that means.
I hope so, and it's good. A lot of people just don't know when to quit. It does speak well of him that he knows, hey, it's about to be my time. I'm not getting younger, and the landscape is changing. It's time to let some new people bring in a new perspective, because Nintendo needs it.
Hmm.
I hope that it's one that they start to embrace in other aspects of their business too, because in many ways, Nintendo is the Disney of the gaming world, for good and bad, and a lot of bad. And in terms of just how fiercely protective they are of their IP, without really using it to its best advantage. Something that we've also seen Disney do. So
Hmm.
yeah, I I want more out of Star Fox. I think that any company would be lucky to have an IP like Star Fox under their belt, and Nintendo's really sleeping on some great potential.
I agree. Now, there is one more Star Fox game, in a matter of speaking.
Hmm.
Well, I guess two more, because there is Star Fox Guard, which came out with Star Fox Zero, which is that tower defense thing where Slippy and his dad kind of work together to bring a security system to the Lilat system, and this is kind of the test. The game, Star Fox Guard, the game, is they're testing to see if it's, worth the salt that they're trying to put into it. But there's one more Star Fox game where you can actually fly around and do some shit and blah, 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 blah. And that is the Ubisoft game Starlink. Now, that game came out for several systems, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft.
Hmm.
And obviously, they don't have Star Fox on anything but the Switch version of Starlink. It was really good. I'm just gonna say it out there. They presented this game at an E3. I forget which one it is, but they had a whole stage performance for it. And towards the end of that reveal, they brought Miyamoto on stage, and it pivoted to Star Fox. And they talked about how the Switch version would have Star Fox exclusive content for the Switch version of the game. And when I tell you that the game itself, the mechanics, the gameplay is very tight, but it's not interesting really at all, except for the Star Fox exclusive content on the Switch version. Now, this was one of those toys to life type things. You had to have one of the ships that were connected to the controller thing that you hooked your Joy-Con up to, and it kind of sucked that ship and the pilot you put on it, and the extra weapons, whether it's a missile launcher or sonar beacon or whatever. However they were modular toys, basically. However you modularly set this machine up, this thing up, it would get sucked into the game, and you would be able to play with that. And the Switch version, the physical version of the Switch game, came with the R-Wing, with, I believe it was Fox Cloud. Hang on, I have it on my bookshelf here. You guys maybe saw it in the background while I was playing. I'll take it off here. Yeah, Fox McCloud is the pilot, and the R-Wing, and a couple different options for the wing guns. But it was, I don't know, I was really enamored by the toys to life stuff. A buddy of mine who managed a GameStop brought home the Wii version of the first Skylanders games, which was set in the Spyro the Dragon universe. Or rather, Spyro the Dragon was the poster boy for the Skylanders universe. However it went, I loved it. I loved that game. I got all the figurines, and just I bought in. My girlfriend at the time and I loved playing through it. The second one came out for the Wii U, and that girlfriend and I had split up. And I met who is now my wife, and we were playing through the second one, and it was okay. I liked it. I kept getting the figurines. We played through it all. It was a good time. And then the Starlink came out, and I bought into it, or at least got the Switch version. I didn't buy all the other ships because I only wanted to play with the R-Wing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was fun. It was the only good Star Fox game for the Switch. It was so much fun. It was so much fun just for that. If I tried to do any of the other stuff for the main campaign, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much. It wasn't really that interesting. And looking back on it, that again may have been my bias. I want Star Fox, damn it. What is this? I don't want this. I want Star Fox.
Right. It just seems so odd to me though that they've just how much of this series they've put into the hands of other developers rather than take ownership of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only other instance where I can really think of that is kind of Castlevania in more recent years, because Konami kind of stepped away from game development the way that we're used to from them for a while.
Right.
And they're only really just now finally starting to come around. And I mean, that would almost be like Nintendo doing that with Zelda or something. I mean, we've had a couple of Zelda games developed by third parties, but largely, that's been Nintendo's baby. They're very protective over who they let around that. And I would like to see that kind of verve about Star Fox because I do love sci-fi settings. I kind of like, I'm not a furry, but at the same time, having the animals there gives it a different context that makes it fun compared to the, your average boring science fiction story. But the thing that I would love to see, and I mentioned this during one of the streams, that I think this kind of game would be well suited for a Rogue Squadron type experience. One-on-one dog fighting, group-based assault missions, things like that would be a lot of fun to play in this context. And because of the somewhat fantasy element of it, they could, play a little fast and loose with some of those conventions. And I want to see them do it. Nintendo, please.
Now, listen, I just want to clear something up. We're all a little furry.
I mean, I definitely am. I could probably stand it.
I'm Italian, so I definitely am.
Well done. It's time to bring up our sponsor, Manscaped. Manscaped.com. Just kidding. We
are not sponsored.
Yeah.
By Manscaped, right? It's Raid Shadow Legends.
Oh.
So maybe we should get to the review.
Maybe this is probably our longest post-mortem to date.
This is our longest. We usually don't go past 10:30. It's now almost 11:30.
We're old. We have to go to bed soon. So let's sum it up. Ladies first, Nicole. If you were to take all of Star Fox as a series and give it one succinct rating, what would that be?
I would have to say I am going to give it. I was thinking I've been bouncing back and forth.
Keep going.
And yeah, and it's just hard for me to decide. I would say it would be a 3.75. I think I gave Mega Man Legends a 3.5. Mm-hmm. I would put this above Mega Man Legends because this is actually a game I would play. So I was trying to decide whether I should go to a full 4 or should I go to 3.75. But I have to take into account that there are some games I just don't think I would have fun playing. Right. But overall, I like the world. I like the characters. I like the overall gameplay feel of the series. Mm-hmm. So I would give it a 3.75.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've had 0.5 steady ratings here since then, so this would be the first game to go off the mark a little bit. Scott, what did you think?
Overall, I give this franchise a 4, and that's just because of how many missteps I felt they took after Star Fox 64. 0 was a real return to form, like you were saying. But the whole disconnect of the forced controls and everything, when they could have easily just had a few button swaps or just something where you could easily swap between things to keep it on one screen. And, commands, long-winded stuff, and just the weird controls, the repeated mechanic of running into the ships. Mm-hmm. Assaults wonky hitbox or hit mechanics, blah blah blah. They could have given this series a lot of love and made it one of their mainstays, one of their tops, and they fell short a lot of the time, unfortunately. So four is about where I'm at. I love it. It's so much fun. There's a lot of fun to be had with every title, but there's just enough holding a lot of them back that it's like, not the greatest.
Yeah, Cancer says 3.14, as good as a freshly baked pie and more fun than a pile of Cybertrucks with the same graphics. I stand with you, Scott. I've been kind of going back and forth, like you said, Nicole, rhythmically, and but I'm going to end up on the
Go
fourth.
on.
I know, almost there. Did you come yet?
Not yet.
It's a 4, and it's not just. This is a hard one to do, right? Because some of it is not just proof of what the game has done, but some of my hopes and aspirations here. I really just think it comes down to the setting and the presentation of Star Fox is very charming, and that is one of the appeals. But also, we've got so many solid games in this series. The first one, the second one, 64, and Zero, in and of themselves. I know nothing. What's up, Mom? How you doing? We have family in the audience cheering us on.
Hey, Mom.
I love the name. It's so blatant. It's cute.
But tell us who you really are, anonymous internet dweller. I mean, I think any series would be lucky to have such great games in their lineup, and even the games that are not so great, that've got some glaring issues, are still, they're not mediocre. They're good games. Like even the most mediocre game here, Command, was endlessly amusing, even for ways that it didn't intend. But when it gave us an emote, and we're still talking about it like weeks later, come on, it left its mark on it. So
it sure did.
So it's a 4 based on those things alone. But also, I think it's a great IP, and I guess Nintendo just has a wealth of IP that they can pull from, and they're not like sweating bullets waiting for one game to be successful. So they're not depending on Star Fox to be out there. But I would love to see more Star Fox. I would love to see more Star Fox actually done by Nintendo and not just thrown out there to test out their shiny new toys, but something that can stand on its own 2 feet for ages to come.
Hear, hear.
And I would like to give Barry a little bit of credit because he is the one who made the emote. So good job there, Barry.
I couldn't let that go. I couldn't. Like, I just saw that and I'm like, nope, we got room for emotes. Let's do this. It's go time.
He did that on the fly during the stream.
Yeah.
That it came from.
It was very impressive.
I'm something of a graphical artist myself. Wonderful thing. Well, again, Scott, thank you so much for bringing the Star Fox series to us. We had a lot of fun. All the fun that I expected to have, but even more still.
I had more fun than I expected to have. So yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for being here with me.
But
including everyone in chat.
We're almost done tonight. You guys, us oldies, us 30 and 40-year-olds can start going to bed because, we going to bed after 11 o'clock is just unheard of. But
I don't think that any of us are under 40 at this point. So
I'm unconscious.
At least on stream.
Just puppies. It's true. But if you thought that we were done this month, we do have more games coming to you because starting Thursday, I'll be taking the handoff from Scott and I will be streaming some games for you guys. And instead of doing a single game or even a single series of games, Skunkworks, who I didn't see with us tonight, we didn't say his name 3 times, so he didn't show up. That's on us. I'm sorry about that.
Save.
Let's do some summoning rites with some save emotes here.
All right, I'm going to cross my fingers. If you guys could put all the save emotes in chat, let's just say it 3 times on 3. 1, 2, 3. Skunkworks. Maybe he'll come in towards the end. Stranger things have happened. But I was talking to Skunkworks one night, and I forget exactly the details of the conversation, but the direction of the conversation was, have you ever thought about doing certain games like Clock Tower? And I'm like, maybe. But then it got me to thinking, and I'm like, okay, because Clock Tower is a game that didn't get a domestic release here. why don't we do a theme? And then that got me thinking. So I'm going to give thanks to Skunkworks because the theme for August 2024 is going to be games that never got a domestic release, but were only featured in Japan. So you can look forward to next month, only in Japan.
I can say I have gotten a sneak peek at some of the graphics that Barry has designed. We're in for a treat. It looks really good.
I'm very hyped. I had a certain aesthetic in mind. I think it's going to look really nice. I've got a pretty long list of games to choose from. There's probably no way that we're going to get to them all. And also, just to keep you guys on your toes, I want to surprise you a little bit. So I'm not going to tell you all the games that I have planned for only in Japan. And we'll just kind of play it by the seat of our pants and see what comes up. But I will tell you at least one thing to be excited for on Thursday, that the first game that I will start off with that didn't get a domestic release is a lovely little game for the Turbo Duo CD called I Choaniki. And if you've never heard of the Choaniki series, you're going to learn a lot, and you're probably going to need a lot of eye bleach. But it's a very titillating Japan only experience, and I think you guys will have as much fun seeing it as I will playing it.
I hope that was a pun because I'm in.
What if it wasn't a pun?
How deep are you in?
Titillating. Let's see. I'm holding my fingers up about 2 of my knuckles. That's about 8 inches, right?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. That sounds about right. There we go. But anyway, it's I Choaniki is a hot mess, and if we even have time at the end of the stream, we might even touch on the PS2 Choaniki game. But all these games and many more are coming to you next month, so please stick around. Anyway, guys, we're tired. We have opined about Star Fox all night. Fantastic series, but we look forward to seeing you for our next series of games. And until then, this is Random Encounter.
This is Althena.
And Selbit.
And we wish you all the very best. Thank you, chat, for showing up. And Mom. Because Mom's not part of chat. She's just Mom. But thank you guys, too, for showing up every month for our postmortems. It's a blast. So
it's always one of my favorite parts of the month. So
you guys have a wonderful night. And until then, take care.
Have a good night, everyone.
See ya.